Yeah, that's not good.
No, not at all. Because I ran into the same problem. I tried to get the pitch controller working on the Vallejo, and yeah, no go.
So I got the periscopes working, and then the bow planes are functional. Now I know he said that you tested some of the GSGRs and they were good.
All of them that we have here were functional with a servo tester.
Okay, because I couldn't get mine to work with the servo tester.
Yeah, so it must have been a problem. You sent that back to me, right? I've got that now.
I haven't sent it back yet. I can.
Okay, yeah.
So I did find in the meantime something that slows down a servo. It's intended for flaps on an RC plane. Came off of eBay, and it does slow it, but there's no adjustability to it at all.
Oh, okay.
So it just is what it is.
Yep. Well, now I'm nervous to go into program mode with any electronics. I just wish it worked out of the box.
Yeah. Well, transitions cause things like this to happen, I guess. So
yeah, unfortunately. So Rob, I saw you got your Alpha wet. What's left to do with that? It looks like it needs some paint.
Yeah, I got it in the water, and I did run it, and the ballast system on it, I got to do a little more adjusting on the weight. Like I said, I could get it down to within about 2 inches of the top of the sail. So you're saying I got a note back from you that a ½ inch was, so I've just got to balance the weight down a little more on it.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if you got it trimmed level, the only thing you just got to add some weight right smack dab in the middle, which means obviously when the tanks are empty, it's not going to float as high. But when the tank is full, it'll be down more at that, closer to the neutral buoyancy part. You'll see. Well, actually, this is a perfect example. In the background of my video, that's a perfect example of a boat that's got too much positive buoyancy with the tank full. So you can see how, like, in order to kind of level, it's like pointing downwards.
Right.
This was during like a shakedown test, so obviously it wasn't completed yet. But when you have to fight the boat down, you don't want that, because you have to carry too much speed, and obviously it doesn't look very cool either.
Yeah. Well, when I hit the power to it from one end of the pool to the other, it did, it was going down. But by the time I got it, it was going to hit the wall on the other end. So I had to slow it down.
Properly ballasted, the boat should pull under within 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
So that way you'll just get way more enjoyment out of it.
Right. Well, this is out of all of my built now. This is I've got 14 that I've 3D printed, and this is the first one that I have finally got to go down and do what it's supposed to do. So
there you go.
That even took modifications, because that 80 millimeter was supposed to be in my Type 7, and I kind of blew that one up. So that's when we went with the brushless motor. which really works great. I was quite impressed, but you know, you really gotta watch that throttle on it, because there's a lot of thrust in that thing when you go full bore. So
Yeah, no, I know. It's the same motor that we've got in our blue water boat, and that thing, like it's a rocket ship, and your Alpha is the same size and actually a little bit thinner, so it'd probably even be faster. So yeah, when we usually, you know, go into the transmitter settings and we'll scale it back to, you know, 30 or 40%.
well, that 80 millimeter in that 1/72nd, I mean, it seems like that ballast tank in there is just right for that boat. So it worked out well all the way around, Bob. So
Good. Glad to hear it.
then I got to experiment with the brushless motor system, and that works really good. So on the brushless motors, you know, I've heard some say that you need to put a type of an oil or something in it after you've used it, or just let it air dry.
Blow it out. I would blow it out with some air, and if you don't have compressed air handy, then yeah, use a little water displacement fluid.
Okay, well, other than that, I'm very pleased with it, and I'll go ahead and add a little more weight right dead center on it and get it to where you suggested at that 1/2 inch. And I think it's going to be a fun boat to operate, whether I can, and it seems to turn a little bit. I'm not too thrilled with the rudder action on it, so I'm going to add a piece to it to enlarge that rudder.
Yeah.
And see if I can't get some turning indicator on it too. So other than that, I'm very happy with it. And that 80 millimeter water watertight compartment it's a nice unit.
Good. Yeah. No. I'm happy. Yeah. Those Alphas have really small control surfaces. So the you know, obviously designed for open ocean, you know, operations. But I think if you were to, you know, put an extension on that lower rudder, you'd see a big difference.
Okay, well, we'll do that too. And I'm going to go ahead and set up the 196 Alpha that I bought the 70 millimeter watertight compartment for. I got it, but I've still got to get some weight adjustment on it, and it'll probably be about the same as the bigger boat. So they're both working great for me.
Awesome.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, James.
Yeah, I have a question. How will the air pumps in the WTCs operate on 6 volts?
Yes.
They will, but they'll just be slower.
Yeah. You know, it's like any brushed electric motor. You know, the speed and power are proportional to the voltage that you apply to it. They're designed, the big ones, I'm assuming you're talking about the ones in the cylinders.
Yes.
Yeah, they're designed for 12 volts, but they'll operate on, I think, as low as 4 or 5. Just obviously not as efficiently or powerfully as they would at the full voltage.
Okay, the reason I was asking is on the Engel Typhoon, that's designed to run on 6 volts, you know, all their systems in there. So I was wondering if I could still operate the air pumps on that too.
Yeah, I see the reason why you wouldn't. Like obviously you're not using them for a ballast system, so I assume it's some other nefarious purpose you have in mind.
Well, no, it'll be in the WTC that I get from you, you know, that I have on order. The one that built for the Type 21, and then you know, it's got the 3 3¾ inch
ballast tank.
Tank. Yeah, that one like 8 inches long or something, whatever it is, whatever it turns out.
So, I mean, that's a bigger tank, and like running off of. So like to back up here, you're thinking you're going to put that cylinder in an Engel.
Yeah, in the Typhoon. Yes.
But how? Okay, I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around this. So are you just going to use the Engel batteries to power that cylinder? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I've got several 6 volt lead acid batteries, the sealed lead acid.
Yeah. Well, can you put,
of course,
you got so much room in there. Do you have room for 2 of the 6-volt batteries?
I don't know yet. I'll have to wait till I get the cylinder to kind of rearrange where everything's going.
Yeah, I'll bet you do, because that cylinder is only 3 inches, in diameter. And if you've got that angled boat, like that thing is like what, 10 inches wide or something crazy like that.
Well, it's got the wider ballast tank, isn't it? 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
That you put those in. That's what the ballast tank will be.
Yeah, but the motor compartment and the battery compartment are both 3 inches. So what I'm saying is, if you want to run those sealed lead acid batteries, you could run 2 6-volts, wire them in series, and then you'll have 12 volts.
Yeah, I've also got a 12-volt SLA battery, but I kind of wanted to wait to see, once I had everything, the watertight cylinder, kind of laying everything out where it's going to have to go.
Yeah.
Or where I put it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't think there would be any problem. I don't think there would be any problem. I'd have to actually talk to Kevin, because the 2IS switch pulls power from the main drive battery, but I think it just acts as a relay. It just passes the power through. I don't think it cares what that voltage is. So I mean, that in theory would still work properly, and then the speed controllers should still work. I mean, that'll affect your motors too, right? Not just the your motors would be affected. But I think they should be fine as well.
Well, I mean, I could run the thing on 12 volts, but there's several systems from Engel that are 6-volt systems, like the automatic periscopes up and down,
right?
And the bow planes, I believe.
So you're going to be like bastardizing, for lack of a better term. You're going to be taking like Engel components and like mashing them into the cylinder. Is that how that's all going to work?
No, I'm not going to put them in the cylinder. I don't know. I may have to build some radio boxes for the electronics on that stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. With the cylinder, if you run external batteries, you'll have that pull forward compartment empty, because it's designed for a battery compartment. So you could put motors and pumps and controllers and all sorts of things in there.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping, and then run the batteries external.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, James, I have two 6-volts, done together to give me 12s, and I made a battery bracket. It just lays in the bottom of and I have 2 banks of them, because I got a lot of junk in my submarine. But they work out great as if you put them on the bottom, to get the center of gravity down. And then for the stuff that I need lower voltages, I have those units that you connect to 12 volts, and then you got a trim pot on there, and you turn it down to the voltage you need, and they work beautiful. I use them on my LEDs. I use them on everything, and they work great. And as far as the speed controllers, everything works fine with the doubling up to 6 volts.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm surprised there's not more people on today.
Yeah, really. Of all the unmitigated gall.
Well, even Master Merriman's not here. I don't know. Maybe he didn't read his email this morning.
Or Ed.
Or Ed, yeah. Oh well, that's why we're recording.
Yeah,
I had an exciting last few days. Jason knows about this. I had pain in my chest, so I spent this morning in the emergency room in Houston. Apparently, they had an X-ray here, and they said that there was like a lump in my lung, but it turns out that was just a shadow from something I had when I was a kid. It's called pleurisy, like an inflammation of my lung lining.
Yeah.
So that was exciting, but they gave me drugs and feeling better.
Good deal.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And I hear you.
Well, if it's any edification to you, Bob, when I was a kid in grade school, I tried to impress some girls that, I don't know. So I stuck a crayon up my nose. And over the years, that crayon calcified. And 10 years ago, it shows up as something very suspicious on a CAT scan. And finally, they determined that it was innocuous after I explained to them what I had done in my youth.
Maury, it doesn't sound like you took it out.
Ed, I was freaked when it wouldn't come out. Okay. I thought all you had to do, Ed, was blow your nose and out it would come.
Wow.
So I share that with you, Bob, that it can be something really stupid and simple.
How long did it stay there?
Oh God, it had to be 30, 40 years.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Didn't you
man.
notice there was one missing out of the box?
It was just a stub, Tordal.
Now you got a nickname. We're going to call you Crayola from now on.
Yeah. So I hate to digress, but
That's
Wow.
funny. That is really funny.
I started printing my 148 Jimmy Carter today.
Oh, nice. Now that you finally got your printers all freed up for your own stuff.
Yep, I got the 1/6 hex finished for Daryl. So I got to deliver that. So I ordered some black filament yesterday and it showed up today and it's already starting to print.
You'd have to stop doing favors for other people. It's holding up your production of your fleet there.
Well, got to do what you got to do.
That's all good. We're looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah, I'll post a build thread on it. Try to keep it up to date, everything that's progressing with it.
Wow, that's going to be huge. What did you say? You talked about that before. Is that the one that's going to be like 10 feet long?
9.5. It's going to be like 113.25 inches long.
Steve, you're pissing me off now.
Is that bigger than your boat?
Yeah, mine's 104.
Oh, bummer. I'm not trying to outdo anybody, but
I know.
Well,
No, I love big is beautiful.
I've still got that 11-foot Disney Nautilus waiting in the back room. That'd be fun to get working, RC.
Make a mold over it.
it'd be incredible.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of big boats, I posted this on Facebook, but for you non-Facebooky people,
To George Washington.
no. That's our another layup of our 30th scale 212.
Wow.
Big.
That
That's a
one
big
turned out.
hull.
That one turned out really, really good. So we did integrated flanges for the top and bottom hull. So now the sides of the top and bottom are like rock solid, and they make perfectly flush with each other. Turned out really good. It's a neat boat. What I love about it, obviously, with the 212, it's it's a big boat, but with those X-tail rudders, it still turns really good. So you don't need like an anchor, to maneuver the thing. So
That looks like a really good layup.
well, we try. It's epoxy and cloth. We did, was it 3 layers of 4 ounce? But then, again, the secret sauce is the flanges that we put in there to stop it from flexing and like distorting. I'm trying to see Yeah, I guess this picture here, you can kind of see them. That's the lower hull. So we got these big, like 3/4 inch flanges on the sides.
Yeah.
So the mold split top and bottom.
You can see it right here. This in the background is I guess this would have been the top. So it's actually split into quarters.
Oh, okay.
So we could lay it up left and right, although I don't know why we would want to, or top and bottom. So yeah, I'm super tempted to lay another one up for me, but then I know it would just sit for like years and years because it's going to be forever that I'd be before I'd be able to work on it. But
You say it's what scale again?
1/30th.
30th.
It came from Germany. Those guys, they like not standard scales, I guess. They're not scared to do like 1/50th scale and 1/64th scale and, you know, kind of whatever's convenient, I guess, for them.
Yeah.
And Dave is telling me, I have it in writing, that he's going to have the sturgeon mastered and tooled up for me in about a month. The 96th sturgeon. But he's been telling me that for a while, but I'm excited about it. That's a beautiful little boat.
Hey, Bob, have you heard anything from Matthew Beck lately?
No, not for months. Last I heard, he'd been deployed. So
Yeah, he's on active duty. That's the last I heard too.
Yeah, that was several months ago. I know that. It was a COVID-related mission. But, I mean, he's been dark for a long time, and I was just concerned.
yeah, no, I mean, last I heard he'd been deployed and he was like super busy and, you know, all that stuff, but I haven't heard from him in a while. And I did, if you guys see the post on the forums, I did talk to Bob Dimack. So for those of you that don't know, Bob got hit by a cyclist in the UK coming out of a store and broke his hip. So he went in for surgery and then they gave him a hip replacement. And he called me from the hospital. He said he's doing good. He's sore. Couldn't stop hiccuping for whatever reason. He hiccuped through the entire conversation, but you know, he's doing his best to get back on his feet. So I got a couple of orders outstanding with him. I told him obviously take his time. His health is the important thing, but he's still alive and kicking in case you guys are wondering where he's at and what he's doing.
I wonder if they got him on prednisone. That's what gave me the hiccups like crazy.
It gave you what?
Prednisone gave me the hiccups like crazy one time.
Oh, really?
I will never take it again. It was miserable.
Well, when I went this morning, they were saying, "Are you in pain?" I'm like, "Well, it only hurts when I breathe." And they're like, "Okay, we'll give you painkillers." And they came in, they tried to give me morphine. I'm like, whoa, you know, we don't need to jack me up on morphine. I'm okay. Busting out the big guns.
So what was the final diagnosis, Bob?
What did I say? I mentioned it earlier.
Pleurisy.
So you had a swelling of the tissue?
Yeah, the lining.
The lining.
Lining of the lungs, yeah. So it feels like if I take a deep breath, it felt like someone stabbed me like with a knife in the lung. Or if I
pause that, Bob.
Or if I breathe out, or if I lay on my left or right side. So the last 2 days I've slept upright in the chair in my theater room. If you could call it sleeping, but it's all good.
So you're better?
It's getting better. Yeah, they give me steroids and intravenous drugs and all sorts of fun things. We'll be back in fighting trim by Monday. I want, before I forget, for anybody that is, like most of you guys have been here hanging out for a long time. Does anybody have, and I want to make sure we do at every dive tribe, allocate the time, like newbie questions. This is the non-judgmental, no stupid question time of dive tribe to ask your questions. And on that topic, by the way, I got the second video in the sub school series on the dive tribe. If you haven't seen that one, I'm going to keep going. The next one's going to be talking about terminology and that kind of thing. We'll start getting into more meat and potato stuff later. But anyhow, now's the time we've allocated for dive tribe for everybody that's just starting out with no holds barred on no silly questions. So
I have a silly.
Hold your peace.
I got a silly one. It may not be silly. I have a regular boat, 34-foot boat, and every weekend, 3 or 4 days out of the week, I'm at the marina, and I'd like to make a submarine that could go in the salt water. Now, as far as I can figure, with the 2.4, because the only thing sticking up is the antenna, because I don't think any radio waves will go through the salt water, but the 2.4 with the antenna up is fine. The only thing is, now I have to put my motors and all that stuff in watertight boxes again.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
So that's,
you wouldn't have to. Those brushless motors are running like ROVs and that kind of stuff all the time in salt water. So they would be okay. I would just say you need to be much more intentional about your post-mission maintenance coming out of salt water. And that's making sure that everything is flushed, really, really well, because if there's anything exposed, that's when the corrosion will end up happening.
I'm in on that, Ed, because I made the fatal mistake of running my Type 9 in a saltwater pool without knowing it was saltwater. And I knew it was saltwater, Ed, when it wouldn't come up. And so just a word to the wary, be very, very careful.
as far as the servos, the waterproof servos should be
The
fine.
whole thing, everything, you'll pull that boat out and there will be corrosion.
Oh, that obviously, yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in theory, waterproof servos would be fine. They don't care.
It's the connection.
Waterproof is waterproof, right?
The connections you have to be careful of.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Maury said, that a saltwater environment would really show where you forgot to use stainless, right? So like wheel collar set screws, those are the big ones, right?
Oh man,
if you don't have stainless set screws, those black ones, they'll just turn to like balls of orange. You'll never get them out again.
Correct.
And I'm pretty sure too, if you end up wedging two unlike metals beside each other, the salt water will
electrolysis.
It'll increase the electrolysis between the two. And obviously in RC subs, the big one is if you use any like aluminum and brass together, they'll corrode, they'll lock up, and it'll be all kinds of yuckiness.
Yeah, I'll have to worry about that. My daughter's getting a pool put in and she's going to use the salt water system. So I'll have to keep that in mind now.
But I want to tell you, Ed, think twice about putting it in salt water. I tell you, it's just, we all have limited time.
Properly set up, there shouldn't be a problem. I mean, you'd have to build the boat from the outset, knowing that you're going to be operating in that environment.
It'll be dedicated just for that. I'm thinking of like an albacore type thing, something simple, a little bit of detail, and just something to throw in the pool and play with the grandkids.
Sure.
Honestly, Frank, as much as it would pain me, because I'd love to sell you more stuff, but if you're looking for like fun with the kids, and if you've got fairly clear-ish water there, those drones, like I used to sell those, what the hell were they called? The Power Dolphin or whatever it was called, those ROVs that are tethered with a cable. Steve's got a really awesome one. I don't remember what it's called. He brought the Subfest.
You brought one to Groton one time.
Yeah, but I mean, you literally just take it out of the case and throw it in the water. Like there's no there's no pre-mission maintenance, there's no post-mission maintenance. You just chuck it in the water and it works. And they're super maneuverable, and they got an awesome video system. And so if you could explore under your boat, on the bottom of the water.
Yeah.
The kids would go crazy for that. Absolutely crazy. And they're like, yeah, you can get them as cheap as like, I think $1,000 or something like that for like the entry level ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steve's got the like super awesome one. I think it has like the optional remote claw thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the Quicey 5-fish V6S, and it's got the claw on it, so I could pick something up. It actually is an incredible thing. When I first got it, it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. How clear the camera was and how controllable and maneuverable everything was, but it just projects it right to your smartphone, and it just mounts right on top of the remote. It's really cool.
Mhm.
And that's tethered.
Yeah, it's got a fiber optic. Mine came with a 100-meter fiber optic cable. And so
100 meters or 100 feet?
100 meters, 330 feet.
Wow.
It's awesome how far technology's come. I sold my old DJI Phantom drone, and I picked up just a cheap DJI. It's called a Mini 2. It was like $400 or something. I was looking at it, and like it has like a 6-mile range, like 6 miles before you lose control of the thing. And it's like full HD video and automated GPS return to home and all this crazy stuff. And it fits it's like the size of an apple, can fit it in the palm of my hand. Technology is wonderful, kind of, mostly, sometimes. So I have a question. I want to pick your guys' brain. So Subfest is coming up in September in Cahata, Georgia. If you haven't made plans to attend, I highly recommend it. We have an awesome time. I'm gonna cross my fingers that the weather holds out for us. We've been lucky the last 2 years, despite the fact that we were supposed to have hurricanes and all sorts of things. But hopefully, if you haven't been able to attend in person, you've seen some of the videos, that we've done and that kind of thing. But do you guys have any ideas about what would be a fun thing to do, or a feature or something like that we could integrate into Subfest that would be better for attendees or people that aren't able to attend? See lots of people looking up at the ceiling.
I think
looks like you're thinking hard.
Definitely having the guys there that did the video took a lot of stress off of anybody else having to do it, but I know they cost. I thought that was a neat addition because they got it from perspectives that wouldn't normally see, and it wasn't just smartphone video or something like that.
Yeah.
But
what did you think of the interviews? Like, I want to see more of those. I love hearing the stories about how people got into it. And
yeah, that was good. That was a good thing. Yeah, I know the course, I'll have the buoys and everything for the course again, just like normal. And we'll set that up again.
I was really interested. Not many people were excited about the course. I think we only had 4 people maybe run it that I remember. And then we did the one, what do they call it? The skipper's commander thing where the skipper of the boat stands, or the pilot stands with his back to the water, and then someone relays commands. I think I was the only one that did that. Maybe there was one other person.
Everybody kind of chickened out on that one, but the speed run thing was good.
That I thought was fun. That was super interesting. Busted up my upholder. So one thing I want to look into, and I don't know if anybody has any experience with this, so that we don't have super awesome internet there, but I wonder if there's a way to get like satellite internet, and would it be worth it for people who can't attend if I were to try and live stream, you know, at certain points of the day for, you know, like 15-minute blocks or 20-minute blocks for the kind of the bigger events? Would people tune in for that, do you think, or should I just record it and call it good?
I'd kind of think you should record it and call it good. I don't know what it would take to get better internet service there. But it may end up being a lot of expense or trouble for a few viewers.
Bob, you may want to think about doing, you know, like a 15-minute Zoom session every day. You know, like at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock as a recap of the day.
Without internet connectivity, though, it's kind of questionable.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I'm just suggesting.
Somebody with a better mind about that stuff than myself and knows what you would need to make it work. I remember Tom Chalfant said something about he said something about some kind of a,
I think he said he was going to try and set up, he could bring a portable wireless network with
something like that. Yeah.
I think the resort has internet, but we would need to set up our own wireless network.
We'd have to have something to boost the signal or whatever, I think.
Yeah.
Well, what's Andrew using? It looks like he's driving.
Yeah, I was gonna say we do this all the time at work, and like we use different applications. Signal's a big one that we use in the military, but what if we just open up the Zoom meeting a couple times each day? People can ask questions, and different people can be interviewed by Bob, and from everybody from like beginners to advanced guys, and talk about how they got into it, tips and tricks. I mean, that's how I learned. That's how I built my first boat. So I was learning from you guys and watching all the videos, but it would have been really great. Like I've always had to watch Subfest, you know, over YouTube, but I've been deployed, but it would have been nice to have been able to log in on a Zoom and, you know, been able to ask those questions like right then.
Yeah, I guess the fundamental question is it worth the, you know, investment in time and energy and obviously money to do it live? Or should we do that kind of thing like recorded and then upload it, you know, later or as part of a bigger video, you know, kind of thing? My big challenge is that, you know, as the organizer, I got a lot of demands on my time, you know, to be places and look over things and make sure we're, you know, on schedule and that kind of thing. So I would probably need to leverage somebody else to be the, you know, tech AV video person, you know, to make sure that kind of stuff was being produced.
Well, there's got to be, Bob, there's got to be somebody down there that can do that. And to get a price, and then perhaps go to the membership. And here's the number, guys. If you want to do this, this is what it's going to cost. And who's interested in sponsoring these updates?
Actually, that word sponsor, that's interesting, because in the past I've hit up other vendors, you know, for donations and that kind of thing, but maybe one of them, rather than donating, you know, a kit or something, they would be willing to sponsor, you know, the wireless network, you know?
Yeah, like last year, for example, you know, of course, I wasn't able to be there. I just wrote you a check.
Right.
So, you know, I'd be happy to participate in sponsoring those daily updates. I'd be really interested in seeing them.
That's super interesting. I'm going to look into the technology and I'll see if it's feasible first. I love the idea, honestly, of a more real-time interaction, because I know it's, you know, we're still not over COVID. There's a lot of people who, you know, for health reasons or financial reasons or whatever, they can't be there. It'd be good for them to feel more like part of the experience rather than just kind of watching the aftermath, you know, days or potentially weeks after the event. So it would be good to draw them in. We get a ton of people from overseas, you know, wishing that they could be here, but obviously it would be a massive investment on their part. But it'd be cool if they could, you know, feel more engaged in the event in real time.
Well, I've got an idea. We use them at work. We call them pucks. I've got one as well, and they just tie in with the cellular network, so you can get them through any plan. Verizon, AT&T, everybody's got them. I'm actually using mine in the truck right now, and I think it adds like $20 more to my bill, but I can pull like up to, I think it's like 20 gigs a month. I use it all the time for work whenever I have to like telework and stuff, or if I'm traveling down. I'm using it in the truck right now, actually. It works fine, and you'll be able to push all the signal you need.
Yeah, we should do you guys remember what's the cellular signal like out there at Cahata? I think it was okay, wasn't it? I don't remember.
I got T-Mobile, but it seemed like it was lower, but I could still make connection.
Right.
Well, you know, you're in the mountains too, so that may be something too.
Yeah. Well, I'll look into it, you know, and see if that's something that we'd be able to do. It'd be, I would love to, if we can make it happen, I would love to do it. I'd love to do some, you know, for things like the raffles and that kind of thing, where people could be able to participate that in, you know, in that in real time, I think would be pretty cool.
So would just a hotspot work, or?
That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. You know, there's a lot of people saying, hey, you know, why don't you just have somebody with a camera and they just live stream the whole thing? I don't know that that's feasible, but, you know, if we had some set times for major, you know, events like the sub race, you know, the award ceremonies, the raffle drawing, the Q&A session, I think that would be really cool.
Have you mesh networking?
Say that again?
You ever heard of mesh networking?
I've heard of it. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I've heard of it.
All it is, it's something that we use. You can get it on the civilian side. GoTenna makes some pretty good civilian models. So for example, you can run a hotspot close to your tower, and the mesh networks create basically a bubble. And they vary in range depending on what kind of model you get. We've gotten as far as like 4 miles out of like just standard ones. But the nice thing is you can get a couple of those. They're not very expensive. And you basically just make repeater stations and you never lose signal.
Gotcha. Yeah. We'll see. I'm going to look into that. I'll see what our options are going to be for that. I can reach out to the Red Clay and I'll find out if they've got a rock steady, you know, like internet, like, you know, fiber or cable internet, and we can just set up a wireless network. That would probably be the easiest.
Yeah.
Because they've got outlets outside. We could set up repeater stations out there, so we could have signal all down the whole coast of the water, all the way back to the you know, the washrooms and concession stands.
I know they had Wi-Fi connectivity, but it seemed real sketchy, and maybe it was just because I was too far away. I don't know where it was located, but it was there.
Yeah, I'm sure it was just at the office. You know, it was probably a unit just in the office there. So as soon as you get down close to the, you know, the covered area, you'd probably be out of range, I would think. All right, cool. I think it'll be worthwhile. We'll see if we can get that, you know, figured out. I think we're going to have some pretty good donations this year too. I know Casey alone has donated over $500 worth of prizes to the raffle. I don't know if you guys remember Casey from the last couple of years, but he's donating a whole bunch of model kits that he's grabbed off the internet. Skipjack and Seaview and some really cool posters, submarine posters, and a bunch of stuff. So just as a private individual donating to the raffle, that's pretty cool so far. And I haven't reached out to anybody to see what they're willing to donate yet. I got to get on that right away.
So where is everybody going to stay at if you go? What town?
So there's two towns that are basically a 20 to 30 minute drive away. There's obviously Chattanooga itself, which is to the west of Cohutta, about 20-25 minutes, depending on where you stay. You'll hit pretty well any hotel chain that you could think of. Chattanooga is a big city, Chattanooga. And then the other town just to the north. Do you remember what's it called, Steve? Just north of there, it's
Ottawa.
no,
Is it Cleveland?
Cleveland.
Yeah.
So it's
Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah, I think that's a little smaller town, but again, they've got sort of your chain hotels there as well. Cohutta itself
is Dalton.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Dalton or what's
I don't think it's Dalton though, if I remember. There's one hotel in Cohutta. It's like a B&B. It's above the antique store, and it has 2 rooms, and I got one of them. It's right next to the, what's it called? The Wolf Restaurant, Red Wolf Restaurant.
Red Wolf Grill or Red Wolf. Yeah, I think it's the Red Wolf Grill.
I could come out in the morning or at night, and we're coming back from the thing, and you smell that food. Oh, it smells good. But yeah, for accommodations, those would be the 2 best places. And realistically, you drive out once in the morning and you drive back once in the evening. So if it's a 20 or 30 minute drive, it's not like it's a ton of time spent in the car.
David, myself, and Tom slept in our cars. Right there at the
year before, you slept in a sleeping bag under a picnic table or something.
Yeah, on a cot. Yeah, but I mean, you got a bathroom, so I just use those big heavy bath wipes to clean up. They work good.
Is there anything for the women to do?
In Cohutta, Georgia?
That's what I mean.
Well,
If I could bring my,
if you left them in Chattanooga, there'd be a million things. Chattanooga is a cool city. So if you left them in Chattanooga, they would have no end of things to do there to occupy themselves. We had a few loyal better halves at the event who toughed through it.
yeah, my wife's one of the ones when you say submarine, her eyes roll back in her head.
I would pick a place in Chattanooga, and there'd be a lot for her to do there. Ed's he's already broken it in, but I guess he's gonna continue to break in his Silverside's trailer. They have parking.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sleeping on site. I want to run at 2 a.m. That's the goal. Take a nap, go to bed about 10, wake up at 2, run for a couple hours, go back to bed.
Hey, it's lit up, so why not?
Doesn't need to be lit.
They're real cool about everything we did there. The
Well,
people that ran it.
Well, that got me motivated to go this route. Was many years ago, Mike Dory would drive from California to New London, Connecticut in an RV. And I'm like, that's dedication. He made the subregattas of the past his whole trip, driving across the US to attend. and he would sleep in the parking lot on the base back then when we were allowed to do such things. And I said, that's such dedication. And since I'm also going to be doing this RV thing with the Admiral, I figured I'm killing two birds with one stone here and justifying the purchase of the Base Camp 22. And it's just a lovely trailer because it's got a back hatch and I can load the subs in it and spend the night. And then you guys, the other thing was that you guys, Steve, you slept there. And I heard there was a bonfire going on all night. You know, you guys were partying back there.
Yeah, the
George, man.
first year, the guy, I think his name was Kevin, that helped. He actually slept in a hammock under a shelter, but he had a big bonfire going in the back after dinner.
That's 24 hours of RC submarine. You know, think about it. That's good stuff. You can't get that at home.
I did it for 6 years. That was enough.
What, the RV or?
I'll be driving from Texas out there. I'm
Oh,
assuming
out there.
like, well, you probably know, Ed, what was it, like 13 hours or something?
Yeah. I got, Google said exactly 12 to 13, depending on the north or south route. But I've already mapped it out. There's places I could spend the night, so I drive 6 hours, crash, get up early, and I'm there by 10 a.m. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm. Jason's not coming this year because he's decided to book a vacation right at that time.
Blame my wife.
What?
No
Where you
priorities, I tell you.
Where you going, Jason?
Oh shit, she told me, I don't even remember.
How you do, Jason?
Gatlinburg or something, I
I'm
don't
just
know.
gonna go.
This is bullshit, Jason.
She tells me where to go. I'm like, all right, tell me what time.
We all got that issue. The Admiral.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's just conclude this by saying that's unacceptable.
I am excited though. Gracie's going to make it this time for sure. She attended the first year, but she got rejected the second year. So now she'll be in the vehicle with me this time. So she's coming for sure.
How many? What's your head count so far, Bob?
Honestly, I haven't even checked. You guys can just keep talking. I'll see if I can look it up.
When you say vehicle, Bob, are you talking about your plane?
Gracie and my puppy.
I know Gracie. I'm talking about vehicle.
No, I'm going to drive. I'm going to have too much stuff to put in the plane, and then well.
Get a bigger plane.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't decided. That it could be feasible actually if I can fit 2 or 3 small boats plus the banners and raffle items and all of that stuff in the plane flying would be a good idea. Thank you.
Hey, Ed, while I got you on dead time,
What?
the regulator that you were talking about, the Clippard regulator that you use as a release valve, is this what it looks like?
No, I had the mouse, the Clippard mouse solenoids. Clippard mouse.
This is the relief valve.
Oh, the relief. Yeah, it looks sort of like that.
Yeah, and then you adjust it with the screw.
Yeah, but I bought them pre-adjusted at like at 110 PSI.
Okay, this one's 10 to 40 pounds.
Propel is more like 70, 80, and as the temperature rises, the propel is going to rise.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, the reason I have these is not because I'm worried about the hose blowing with authority in the tank. It's because it always goes when it heats up on the bench and the hose softens.
Yeah.
And I have to end up replacing the hose. It's not on the way that I worry about losing the hose. It's on the bench. It develops a little blister bubble from the heat
Right.
and it blows. When you leave it out in a black model with it gets hot. So yeah, the hose, what did Dave say? It's rated at 500 PSI, but not when it gets heated.
Yeah.
On that topic, if anybody has extra polyurethane air hose, 1/16 inch ID, Clifford is backed up 2 months and I'm completely out. If anybody has any they can spare, I'm in
What
debt.
about Bob? What about Robart?
What about what?
Robart, ROBART, the model airplane stuff.
I haven't checked. Actually, I haven't checked them. Yeah, they would probably have it. They're running polyurethane hose. Yeah.
See, and that stuff is tough.
It's good stuff,
Yeah.
Bob.
For
Yeah.
the retract system.
Okay, but it's rated for air, right?
Yeah.
Just make sure it's rated for the chemical and.
Well, Robart is set up with the liquid air.
Yes.
Their pumps will do-
Okay, just a safety concern, guys. I'm not.
Yeah, that's Robart's retract system.
Yeah.
I put that on the Baleo, and like that, the pumps will hold or pump up to like 150 or 180 PSI. So I think it'd be fine because I think well, we talked about this before, but I think the Propel system, the Freon system under pressure is something like 80. So we have a pretty good margin for error there.
No, Robart's good, Bob.
I'll check them. Yeah, for sure. I just checked. So as of right now, what are we in June, July, August? 3 months before the event, we got 12 registered skippers and five groups of attendees only. So there's probably, I'd say we're at about 20 people so far with 3 months to go, which we're going to get a lot more than that. I think. And then we also had people show up out of the blue too, which is cool.
I hadn't registered yet, so.
I'd love to see you there.
I'm gonna come. I just piddling around, hadn't got around to it.
Me too, Bob. I haven't registered yet either, but I'll be there.
There you go. 2 more. Awesome.
I'll be there, of course. I'm bringing Nathan and maybe one of my other boys too.
Awesome. Yeah. What I love about it, get these skippers here. So we may have, if we have 20 skippers, that's pretty serious because they bring 2, 3, 4 boats. So, you think about it, that's like 60 submarines. That's like pretty epic. If you ever want like in-depth, immersive, like learning about the hobby, these events, you would learn more in those 3 days than you would in, 6 months of research online.
Yeah, that's why I was so pissed off about Groton, the way they changed the date. That's the busiest time of year for me.
It just happened to be the wrong time. Again, Jason screwing things up with his stupid wedding.
Again, blame the wife.
Yeah.
She planned the date.
It was fun. I have no regrets.
Jason, you know what? I've been married 48 years, something like that. Happy wife, happy life. It's the truth.
You got that right.
Don't
piss her
agree
off.
so quickly, Jason. Jesus.
Hey, I've been married 3 times. This is the last time I'm doing it, so
Well,
I'm not making that same stupid mistake again.
I tell you what, if you haven't learned, buddy.
David, are you on there? How's your Japanese boat coming? I'm really jealous. He's ignoring me. Oh, he's there.
I'm here. It's coming along, sorta. It's I had a crazy person from Japan, and so now I have to kind of reprint the sub again. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, it was.
That's a bit of a novel in a sentence. I had a crazy person from Japan and now I need to reprint the whole submarine.
Yeah, I mean, he just kept on throwing money at me, and eventually I gave in.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Those are the kind of people you need to find more of, right? Everybody should have that experience once or twice. We're kind of excited. So this is probably too preliminary, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Let me jump this in and see if I can pull up. So one thing that I have not yet seen done on an RC submarine is the replication. Where's my, I gotta go to the secret place because I didn't make it public.
Don't put any ideas in my head.
Here we go.
Sanitary 1 tank.
I-401.
So yes,
Frank is working on that.
share my screen. Can anybody guess what this is going to be?
To simulate, you're going to simulate the venting of the main ballast tanks.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That looks good too. That looks very realistic.
So that's going to be, there's going to be 4 of those on this
On what boat you put?
albacore.
That's going to look good. That's going to be impressive.
So
How you gonna vent the hole though?
I'm going to tie it into the vent for the ballast tank. So you vent air, those things kick in, plumes of water, under she goes. And I'm thinking, if I really want to get stupid about this, I'm talking to the guy, a secondary pump that will actually blow air, suck it through the mast, blow it out the vent. So as it submerges, you'll see the stream of bubbles coming out from the vents as it goes under the water.
When Ray Mason first did the Sea View, I don't know if you ever seen Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and all those bubbles come out along the chine.
Yeah,
He had
the
that.
bubble maker. He had the bubble maker.
And that.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not
if you
getting
needed
that
an
crazy.
air ejector, you could just suck it out and blow it too,
What's that?
like an air ejector.
The issue is this guy wants to use an Engel piston tank system. So I don't have any ballast air to play with because obviously it's a closed system. So I have to have a completely segregated system for simulating this. But I think it'll look cool. You go to dive and you see those plumes come up. I think it's going to look really cool.
Yeah, that'll look.
Frank,
Be
you
a
got the
head
bubble
turner.
generator on your Sea View?
Do I have what?
You got the bubble generator on your Sea View?
Oh,
No, I didn't get that far yet.
What? Come on.
You'll just jam some antacid in the hull. It'll look fine.
I'm still working
Everything
on
else
this.
is on that boat.
I'm still working on this.
Hmm.
I got to radio control that. I'll get there someday. I just want to get it in the water. Otherwise, you guys will, this way you guys will stop poo-pooing me.
This is my latest experiment.
Yeah.
Line up the low pressure blower to all main ballast tanks.
It's a whole lot of radio for a submarine, Ed.
Surface.
Yep. But it'll automatically switch over to 900 megahertz when it loses 2.4 gig.
But does there have another receiver also?
It's a $90 unit you plug into the other receiver.
Oh, wow.
So when it loses, the reason the Jetty users are doing this is out in the country, 2.4 gig is great because there's no interference. You get in the city with this high power 2.4 all around you, they lose signal. So they switch over. When they lose signal, they got these systems to switch over to 900 automatically in the big city, or where there's a lot of, or like 2 or 3 guys, you're not going to really step on each other, even though it is packet control and you don't have channel control and all that, you still can step on each other depending on the power ratio, correct? Okay, even though you're separate, it's not quite like channel 69 or your channel 82. So when the receiver loses that signal at a certain point, it'll shift over to 900 megahertz. So I'm going to experiment when that's shifting over. Is that going to, and by the way, driving this thing, you're right, it is a few bucks, but it feels like a Cadillac. It is
A
not.
nice radio.
It's not a Chinese radio. I got, and I believe Horizon Hold will then take over the function of the APC. Because it's not a rate gyro, but it's going to tell the sub to hold the horizon.
Interesting.
And then I can change that mode and adjust the sensitivity of the stern planes depending on the speed I'm going. I have a gain control. So this big, I plan to have it on my test bed boat, that Shark you guys seen run before Carmel.
Wow, Ed. Wow.
But the thing is, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but
Line up the low pressure blower to all main ballast tanks. Chief of the watch eye. Surface, surface, surface.
Wow.
it'll tell me.
So
I
you-
don't have them all hooked
you
up,
said-
but it'll
you
tell
set
me
up-
what's.
You set up an
Yeah.
audio file to play when you engage a certain command.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ready to dive.
Yeah, who needs a sound module on your boat? You can't hear it anyway. You might as well have it play out of your transmitter.
Conduct a normal blow to all main ballast tanks. Chief of the watch eye.
Ed,
Surface, surface,
You couldn't tell
surface.
me this before I set up my Graupner?
Wow.
That is cool.
Are you surprised?
I can set it to tell me what bell I'm answering. All ahead 1/3, all ahead 2/3.
Nice.
So,
This feels like
so
like a multi-page, like article for, like the subcommittee report or on the, you're going to be an advocate for selling these radios in our hobby.
let me get it working first, okay? But I think we're gonna be able, but guys, I bought it used. This radio starts at $1,200. Okay, but okay, I could see you all gulp and everything, but there's one thing you guys don't realize. All you have to buy afterwards are receivers.
Yeah.
Why do you have to buy a radio for each and every model you own when you could set it up once and the model operates the same exact time, same exact way every time?
Yeah.
I don't understand why people, I own 2 receivers and 16 subs. Well, 14 not working yet, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And that was the beauty of back in the day when Merriman first introduced WTC. They were that was the ultimate modular unit. Not to crack into, Bob's income, but you bought one WTC and you shared it among several boats.
But the crazy thing is, it's absolutely true, but the crazy thing is
Nobody does it.
does it.
Nobody does it.
1 cylinder per boat. Yeah.
One cylinder. And I don't understand it. Why, okay, yeah. Well, and the high end one goes for what? 2,200. The high end with the aluminum. But, you know.
What's
what
the
you
make
want
on
for-
that? What
Okay.
brand is it?
$100.
$100, okay? How many subs do you use with it?
Who's the manufacturer?
How many subs do you use with that radio?
4 right now.
Okay, so that's $25 per sub plus cost of receiver.
See,
Okay, look, this is a personal choice, you know.
I understand, but doing
You know,
that
it's a personal choice.
underwater.
Who makes it?
Just to back up, I have nothing but respect for what Ed's doing, because he, unlike many people, are pushing the envelope of what we've traditionally accepted as the status quo within our hobby, right? That technology is only going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. You know, those Radio Link 2.4 gigahertz radios I sell right now are like $169 or something like that for the transmitter and receiver. You know, that level it's going to become cheaper and cheaper, but it provides so much more possibilities to our hobby, and it takes people willing to invest the time to learn, you know, and experiment and to get it done. You know, people like Ed, who's not scared to do that. I have nothing but respect. I think that is absolutely awesome. And I'd be willing to bet for every scoffer out there, oh, I'd never pay that, there's going to be 2 people saying that is the coolest thing ever, I'm getting one. I'd be willing to bet.
Here's another thing. The receiver has everything built in.
Mm-hmm.
Pitch, yaw, roll, meaning magnetic course. It has it's called a Jetty Assist. Look it up. You're now not buying an automatic pitch control. You're not buying a BLM.
$50.
No, it's not $50.
No, I'm telling you, pitch controller, $60, BLM,
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah. So, to each his own, said the farmer when he kissed the pig. And
Yeah,
plus, there are other plans. I plan someday just to take up flying, and I'd rather have a radio, top end radio with it. I mean, these are the radios you see the guys flying the SR-71 with.
What we need to do, Ed, is get together and build that Russian airplane that turns into a submarine. Hell yeah.
Or Moskva, that turns into a submarine too. So I heard. Frank, you didn't go to Groton this year?
No, it's the busiest time of the year when you own a boat. I mean,
Yeah. And it was half empty.
yeah, well, thank Joe for that.
The lake was half empty.
I saw that.
I saw the pictures of that.
And Irving slipped in the mud and fell.
And it looked like mossy and slimy and like green. Maybe it was just the pictures.
They didn't completely fill it up yet. So.
Well, it's no Kahutta. I guess everybody can't have a concrete bottomed spring fed pool. There's submarines in.
And by the way, full disclosure, that radio was not purchased new. It was purchased $700, which is kind of comparable what people are getting for land surface, the rarity of that surface.
Yeah, that's equivalent to like a Futaba T9 cap.
My Groutner was $600.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me you find him on eBay. The kid gave me a receiver too.
Yep.
Hey, Ed, you got to text me the manufacturer and whatever information you have on that when you got a chance.
You're going to change all your radios now?
No, I just want to look into it. Well, don't count me out on that, but you know, that is really cool.
I love this stuff. You guys know I'm becoming a big proponent of 2.4 gigahertz in submarines, particularly big boats. Little boats, and if and if you're like Rob, you know, where you got a swimming pool, it doesn't make sense. But for big boats, when you're operating in unknown waters, you're never going to go below periscope depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, those RadioLink radios that I've been using for like forever, they're 12 channel radios out of the box, right?
Yep.
Like 12 channels and huge amounts of customization and just the massive amounts of benefits to them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell everybody. The first words out of, well, I can't dive. Well, what you got to look at is what's your environment. If 80% of the time you're running in pond or dark water, why are you fighting to get that radio? Okay. Also, if it's a big boat, also you want a small boat. If the boat has no periscopes, you're going to want to stick with 75 or 70. But if you have none of that, if 80% of your time, I run every other weekend, and I run what's the water like here, Bob? It's mud. I am taking, just to prove a point, I'm going to answer the question that everybody always asks when you put a camera on that thing. I'm taking the Neptune, okay, out to Town Lake tomorrow morning. And I'm going to run it with my GoPro. And I'm going to put the film up on the thing. And this is, when you ask what happens when you put a camera on an RC sub, this is what you get 80% of the time.
Yeah, you get bubbles, you get little particles floating past.
Yeah.
You know, that it's venues like those guys that run in swimming pools, or the example where you get under the water and you can see for like 40 feet or 50 feet. You know, you get spoiled. But you know, even if the water is clear, as soon as you get 30 or 40 or 50 feet away, your angle is such that when that boat goes under the water, you cannot see it. Even if it was a swimming pool, from 50 feet away, you're not going to see that submarine.
Yep.
So to maintain line of sight and for safety with that boat, you need to have some sort of visual reference, and the periscope is perfect. So you might as well put your antenna in there and run the boat. And you know, again, ever since I saw Ed's, you know, his skipjack, his shark, you know, running for hours and hours at periscope depth, that's what I've set, you know, my 2.4 boats up at. And I thought I saw Vaughn. Did he sign in? Is he here? I can't see. No, he's not. Anyhow, but like his upholder, when we brought it out to Lake Woodland, right after he bought it, you know, if you trim that thing properly, it just runs in circles, and it's the most amazing feeling to have it running at periscope depth. And you set the transmitter on the bench next to you, and it's just tooling along.
One finger, one stick.
Yep.
Maybe I'll turn right now. Maybe I'll go to the left.
Yep.
But really, if you got the clear water, God bless you. I've never had that. I get pond scum, right? Frank, we've been come on, in the middle of New York City.
It's useless, you know, going, you know, below the surface, you know.
And when we go to Lake Ron, here's another venue, Lake Ronkonko. This has that, what is that invasive weed from the aquarium tanks? We got that up to within this far of the surface.
Yeah.
You go much deeper, you get a prop rack. It's like that
algae.
Angry monster coming up from the deep to grab you. You got to know your environment. It's not an argument whether one system is better than the other. No, it's what's your application.
Well, I tell you what, I feel for you guys, because I run my boats in absolutely crystal clear water in northern Minnesota, and it is just pristine.
Mm-hmm.
You got heaters on the boat?
Pardon me? Pardon me?
No, what somebody said something.
Yeah. Is it the water ice cold?
Well, no, not in the summer.
Oh, okay. I thought it was mountain runoff.
No. No, but I tell you, the only issue is a few weeds, but no muck, no crap. It's just really delightful.
Let's have a show of hands. How many people have clear water to run in regularly?
2.
Not me.
Yeah.
Not I.
Yeah. And
So
like I said, it could be the most crystal water in the world, but it's all about angle of attack. When you get 50 feet away, 40 feet, 50 feet away, the reflection of light just reflecting off the surface.
Glare.
See where your boat is.
The 2.4 thing with the conning tower right there and everything. This is what I did. I just put an antenna, my antenna in an antenna. And if I want to go deeper, I just raise this up. It'll go up almost 18 inches. So my conning tower could be 18 inches under the water, but my antenna is still up out of the water. And it also gives me a little leeway if the thing starts porpoising, that the antenna doesn't go under.
Yeah.
If I don't want to go that deep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I do at least 8 inches, but usually like 10 inches if I can. And honestly, it looks really cool. Just from a cosmetic perspective, to see those masts and periscopes extended fully. But
yep.
At any rate, I'm 12 minutes over my like self-imposed limit. You guys can continue to chat, but I need to take off. Any last questions or comments before I leave you guys?
Just one, Bob.
Yeah.
That sub that's in the picture behind you, is that a chlorine pool or is that a saltwater pool?
That was my swimming pool at my house back in Florida. So it was a chlorinated pool. For anybody that doesn't know, running in a chlorinated swimming pool, it's 1,000,000% depends when the last time it was treated or shocked.
Right.
In a situation where I run like the day after, like our pool people would have come, sometimes I can only get a foot or 18 inches before I lose signal. But other times, if it's right before, I could get 4, 5, 6 feet without any issue. So chlorine is a huge signal killer. And it depends a lot on the concentration. If you're at a public pool, they tend to go heavy on the chlorine. So definitely don't count on being able to dive down to like the 30-foot mark or whatever at the deep end of the pool. You ain't gonna get there. It's there's a lot of chlorine in there, and you'll lose your signal.
My pool is salt water, and at 3,800 parts per million of salt, with 1 out of 10, I think it was 5 on the chlorine scale. The guy checked earlier that day. I got 1.5 foot almost next to me. 10 feet away. I had to skim the surface with the Neptune in that video I made.
Yep.
The salt water, and at 3,900 parts per million, you kind of taste the salt water a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
so watch your chlorinated swimming pool contents before you run your boat. It makes a big difference. If you're lucky, you'll find a place like YMCA or whatever that'll allow you to run after hours. And if you get onto their schedule, they'll let you know when they're going to shock the pool. If you do it right before that, you'll have a lot of luck in terms of being able to run.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Last chance, and I'm going to let you go.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah,
absolutely. Bob.
Big thanks to Maury for starring in my last video. You're a video star now.
Well, I appreciate it, Bob.
You're very photogenic, Maury. I wanted to tell you that.
Well, that makes me feel very good.
We'll do more. We should do more of that one-on-one interviews with Divetribe members.
Yeah.
But it was just fun to have Bob come down, fly down to Des Moines, and spend a little time.
Even though I almost died because I couldn't get under the clouds.
I wanted to ask you, you had to find an opening eventually, but what happens if, you just have one of those unlucky things? You got to turn around and.
No, so, when the first thing you learn before you say there's always a plan B. So I had an airport selected that was about 70 miles to the west that was showing clear skies. So if I couldn't find that hole, I would have diverted to the west, landed at that airport, refueled, and then either waited there or overnighted there, whatever I would have needed to have done.
We had
Yeah,
a.
remember what I told you about my brother and his flashlight?
Mm-hmm.
He had to go to an airport that put him down right to the ground. You know, they guided him right down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
With flying, with boating, we have a rule of thirds. Third of the fuel out, third for return, and third for a reserve. You shouldn't exceed that when you're a recreational boat. Is it the same with a plane?
Yeah, you've got best practice in terms of fuel reserve. So VFR daytime, minimum 30 minutes reserve fuel, nighttime minimum 45 minutes reserve fuel. So in that amount of time, I can get 50, 60 miles of additional range to find a other airport to put down at if I need to. But I knew it was kind of going to be touch and go. I was watching the forecast was baloney. It was supposed to clear in Des Moines starting at like 6 p.m., but it was just like a blanket. If you watch that video, it was a blanket, an ocean of white.
So having been where Bob was that evening, he was not in a good place. And the fact that he got in okay was good work.
50 miles away from Des Moines, I had to put through the little tiny hole in the clouds. And then I was 1,000 feet above the ground with the cloud layer above me, shooting in all the way into Des Moines. 1,000 feet above the ground means if something goes wrong, you got 15 seconds, 20 seconds to figure
And
out.
no time to change the underwear.
Yep.
For a new pilot, you did good, Bob.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna let you go before my wife chokes me out. I'm gonna turn this over to, I don't know, Ed?
No, I'm leaving.
I've got to go. Thanks again, Bob.
All right.
I got to go too.
Yeah, Ed. Bye, Frank.
We can,
Take care.
Everybody.
we can
Stay
leave it here.
safe.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Good seeing y'all.
All
Take
right,
care.
Take care.